My name is Kevin Gough. I represent Bishop Kenneth Adkins. He was, as you know, he was arrested earlier this morning on child molestation charges involving a young man. We don't know much more than that. All we have at this point is the warrant itself, or the warrants. But Mr. Adkins and I have conferred, and he is innocent, and he looks forward to being cleared of the charges against him, and he looks forward to his day in court. We will this day be filing a motion for bond, a motion for a preliminary hearing, and a motion to preserve evidence in this case, as well as a speedy trial demand. Mr. Adkins looks forward to his day in court and having his good name restored. But y'all are not here to see me. With me today is Mrs. Kenneth Adkins, or Charlotte Stormy Adkins, his wife and co-pastor at the Greater Church in Brunswick and Atlanta. And she has a statement that she wishes to make, and I'm just going to go ahead and let her do that. She is not going to answer questions afterwards, so please respect that. All right.
Good afternoon. My name is Charlotte Stormy Adkins. I am the wife of Bishop Kenneth Adkins, an acting pastor of the Greater Church, 6122 Altama Avenue in Brunswick. I am here today on behalf of my husband and our church to express my support for my husband, Kenneth Adkins. We are disappointed with what appears to be a rush to judgment by law enforcement authorities in this case. We are confident that my husband, Kenneth Adkins, will be found innocent of all charges, and at that time we expect the district attorney and Georgia Georgia Bureau of Investigation will be as vocal in publicly clearing his good name at the time as they have been besmirching his name around town and in the media over the past 24 hours. While I am confident of my husband's innocence, that the charges made against him are false, and that he will ultimately be cleared of any wrongdoing, I share my husband's concern for the alleged victim. We are praying for him. The young man has been a part of our teen ministry. We have taken care of him and taken him in as our church family has with a lot of love. Ken and I have done a lot to help mentor that young man. I am deeply troubled by the things that are happening with that young man. And to be sure, he is in our thoughts and our prayers, even now. Bishop Adkins, my husband, has asked to be placed on unpaid leave from the Greater Church until these matters are resolved. I will be acting as interim pastor. Accordingly, we will have our services as usual, our weekly services, and our service will be this Thursday at 7 p.m. And our church is always open and welcome for anyone who would like to attend. Thank you.
All right. If you want to go back to my office, you can. I don't have a lot of questions.
Ms. Adkins, there's not a Sunday service at that church?
Currently, right now, because of summer vacation, we're doing a Thursday night service. After Labor Day, we will start back with our Sunday service. We do that for our families to be able to have some time off for the summer. Thank you.
Yes, we'll have copies for everyone as soon as we're done here, which should be shortly. I will try to answer questions, but honestly, don't know much to share with you. Okay?
When did this start? I mean, when were the allegations first raised? Can you tell us that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I only became aware of the matter yesterday.
Mr. Adkins is known to be very controversial, at least in the Jacksonville area, and has spoken out against the LGBT community. These accusations are about a young man. What are your comments on that? I mean,
Well,
He's saying he's innocent?
Mr. Atkins is saying he is innocent, yes, without reservation. But I have to respect the wishes of my client, his family, and his church. And they are concerned for him, and obviously he's deeply troubled, and it's kind of surprising the way this came about, but at the same time, we don't want to do or say anything that's going to add to whatever this young man's going through at this time.
How did these come about? You say it was surprising.
Well, the warrant says that these warrants say that these events took place in 2010, and it's a long time. We don't know why they're coming up now. We'd like to think that these charges or their timing isn't politically motivated. We certainly hope not. And we're not saying that they are, but given his past and his very vocal public positions on various issues, you know, it's obviously a concern. But we know so little at this point. Really all we have are to work with as far as the investigation by law enforcement is concerned is copies of the warrants themselves. And those of you who are familiar with the criminal justice system, the warrants don't contain very much information.
Can you tell us how old he was at the time of the alleged accusations?
I couldn't. I presume he was under 16. Otherwise, it wouldn't be an offense.
And he was attending the church?
That's my understanding, but that's more of an assumption than a fact. I can't add much more to what his wife said about that. I mean, obviously, you know, less than 24 hours into this, and with copies of 2 warrants, I can't tell you a whole lot.
Where does Mr. Adkins stand on bond? Has he made his first appearance? Will he? At what time?
I expect that the magistrate will go over and read his rights to him this afternoon. I won't speculate as to what time. Those proceedings are not normally open to the public, but I don't know. You could inquire, I suppose it could be. But they last about 5 seconds. I mean, not much to it.
And if he is?
We are filing motions, like I think I indicated, motion for bail, motion for preliminary hearing, motion to preserve evidence, and maybe some other motions. We'll be filing those this afternoon. I can't type and speak at the same time. So, you know, I will say I'm disappointed somewhat with the GBI and the district attorney's office. It would seem clear from the nature of the charges that this investigation has gone on for some time. And waiting until Thursday evening or Friday to address the issue, knowing that the victim does not reside in the state of Georgia and not having made any arrangements, they have effectively deprived Mr. Adkins of any opportunity to seek release before next week. There's no reason why this couldn't have been handled in such a way that he could have seen a magistrate or seen a judge either today or maybe earlier this week. But you know, the habit of arresting people on Fridays, you know, or Thursday nights, so that they can't get into court over the weekend is, you know, that's a ongoing concern. But it is what it is.
Do you expect a hearing Monday?
And by the way, I don't mean to suggest that you should have immunity from prosecution on Fridays. Obviously, there are times and places where things just work out. And maybe that's what happened in this case.
Do you think because of his past, maybe they might have waited till that day?
I don't think it has anything to do with Mr. Adkins. I think it's just a local law enforcement tactic, and I'll leave it at that.
Was that what Ms. Adkins was saying was her, for lack of a better word, her, what she was upset about with GBI, or was it something else? And when I say something else, I should clarify.
Well, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but
let me clarify my
Okay.
question really quick. Was it what you just mentioned, or was it about the investigation itself? Is she upset that there maybe isn't a lot of evidence, or?
I don't want to go into details, but from what it appears now, it looks like the investigation was not completed. It looks like for some reason, whether it was a media deadline or whatever reason, law enforcement's like every other business. You know, they are in the function, they have to function. But it feels rushed. That's just the opinion of someone who's been doing this for a long time. But you know, that's their business, it's not mine. And they conduct their business any way they want. But it felt rushed. And given that these allegations are 6 years old, you know, Mr. Adkins agreed to turn himself in today, but this could have been handled differently. I hate to say it, but it could be several weeks before he gets even gets a hearing. I hope that's not true. We're going to ask for a hearing at the earliest opportunity. But, you know, filing a motion on Friday afternoon to get a hearing, you pretty much know it's not going to be until next week at the earliest.
Do you expect at least a preliminary appearance by Monday?
Well, historically, the deadline for preliminary hearings in Glenn County are conducted once a week. They're conducted on Fridays. Historically, and I haven't checked in the last couple of months, as you know, I've had plenty going on, but historically, the deadline for a preliminary hearing request was Thursday at noon. Is my understanding. So by waiting until Thursday evening or Friday to issue an arrest warrant, it may force that preliminary hearing all the way back to the following Friday, which would be Friday, September 9th.
You said the allegations are 6 years old, but the allegations...
The allegation is that these events took place 6 years ago.
Right?
I don't know. That's not something that... What we know is that what's allegedly took place 6 years ago.
And you said the guy doesn't live here.
No.
Does he live in Jacksonville?
I'm not at liberty to say where he lives. And I'm just being candid with you. The last thing we want to do is even if it's lawful, is we're trying not to invade or intrude upon this young man's privacy any more than is absolutely necessary in handling his case.
You had mentioned a little bit ago that the investigation has been going on for quite some time. How long is that?
Again, that is a guess. Given the nature of the charge, given the age of the allegations, and given the fact that the victim is not here, but is out of town, all of those factors and others suggest to me that this investigation has been ongoing for some time. We only learned of it yesterday, but I doubt the investigation started yesterday. But, you know, we'll have a bond hearing, a preliminary hearing. You know, there'll be discovery down the line if the district attorney chooses to indict. And remember, the district attorney may choose to dismiss the charges. That's still a possibility. We don't know. Our primary concern right now is, of course, Mr. Adkins is in jail and needs to have a day in court. And frankly, also, there's some concern for this young man.
So will your firm be the only one that's handling Ms. Atkins' part?
I have no idea. You know, Mr. Adkins can hire any attorneys he wants at any time he wants if he has the ability to do so. All I know is he called me and he wanted my assistance, and I'm doing what I can for him. Okay?
So he contacted you yesterday or last night?
He contacted me yesterday. That's all I'm going to say.
So the plan is to get him out, hopefully on bond.
Obviously,
as soon as possible.
we want to get him out on bond.
Would you anticipate him being in jail till possibly next Friday?
Well, I don't think that we're going to get a preliminary hearing until Friday, September 9th, because of the way this has been timed. Whether that was done deliberately or just a function of, you know, the police officers. Look, police have a lot of cases, a lot of things to investigate. Somebody's going to get arrested on Friday. Maybe it was just maybe it's just a coincidence. Okay, but the bottom line is he probably can't get a preliminary hearing to the 9th, and I don't know when he's going to get a bond hearing. We'll submit a rule in ISI and we'll see what happens. He could have a bond hearing Monday, or it could be next month. There's no telling.